Hi, everybody. Welcome to Hidden Gems Podcast, and this show where we like to dive into a streaming service and tell you about some hidden gems that are available for you to watch on that service. It's a lot of fun, and I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Ryan is here.
Hey Rachel, it's great to be back with you once again, filming this on Labor Day. I hope you have a nice Labor Day, if nice is an operative word for it.
Yes. Yes, I hope everyone an enjoyable day off. Yeah, we're recording this on Monday. We will post it on Friday. But we decided to talk about Amazon Prime this week. Yeah, originally we thought we were going to maybe talk about the Rings of Power. But life just got super busy for me. I don't know about you, Ryan.
That and combined with I just have not had the strength to like start it because the discourse is already just so toxic that
Hmm.
there's a part of me that just doesn't want to bother with it because I just see it and I'm just like there's half of you who are pulling a your movie sucks. You're judging it without even having seen it yet. So like
Hmm.
what's even the point?
Yeah, I agree. I have felt that as well. That's also part of the reason why I haven't watched She-Hulk yet, because I just don't want to deal with all of that nonsense. I and I I might end up enjoying it, but I don't know. I just want to wait a little bit because I don't have to review it. It's not like it's an animated film or rom-com or something like that. It's just not fun to that kind of toxicity online.
Being in a specialized field, you can kind of avoid certain things.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And usually the discourse around rom-coms isn't too toxic. Usually. I'm
I
grateful
mean,
for.
I'm not entirely excited to see what's going to happen when that Bros movie drops, or I don't know, maybe that'll be incredibly positive. I'm not sure.
I hope so. I feel like the marketing campaign has been very strange for that movie. But yeah, I mean, hopefully it'll probably avoid some of the toxicity because it's a hard R-rated movie. So like people that would normally be super judgy of it probably aren't going to see it. You know what I mean? Um, so maybe that'll help them a little bit, but I mean, I hope it's good. I want it to be good.
Yeah, well, I think prejudging anything before you see it like is just completely self-defeating. But I
Yeah.
mean, that's a whole nother topic that we can do an entire show on if we really want to. But
Yeah.
I'm excited to jump into some Amazon Prime. So would
Yes.
you like to go first or shall I?
You can go first.
All right, very good. Well, first up, my first choice is a movie from 1998, and I'm kind of surprised that I hadn't recommended this before. And I was kind of walking the tightrope on is it hidden, is it not, but I decided to recommend it anyway. I'm going to be recommending Face Off. This is directed by John Woo, starred Nick Cage and John Travolta. Tells the story of an FBI agent who is on the hunt for a criminal mastermind. The agent's played by John Travolta, and the criminal's played by Nicolas Cage. And long story short, they get Cage, but he gets in a coma. And so, in order to disrupt his whole gang, Travolta pretty much takes on the face of Nicolas Cage. But then Cage wakes up and realizes, hey, Travolta's just taking my face, so I'm going to take his face. And so basically, it's a roles reversed kind of thing, and it's a lot of fun. And I've seen reviews of this where it's like, yeah, this movie's just not that good. But I think this movie is just tons of fun. I mean, it's John Travolta and Nicolas Cage just doing their overacting best. And it is a barrel of monkeys. It is just so much fun. There is a legit scene in the movie in near the beginning where Nick Cage, in disguise as a priest, he hears like the Hallelujah chorus playing, and he just like he does this headbang thing. There's a gif of it. You'll if you look it up, there it is there. It's Nicolas Cage doing his thing, and it's just so much fun. And this was directed by John Woo, so of course it looks really great. The action is very well filmed. There's many great sequences where you're like, this makes no sense, but I don't care. It looks awesome. So it's definitely late 90s cheese, but done in the best way, if that's the
Mhm.
best way that I can put it.
Yeah. I've never seen this one. I've heard it's very silly, but fun.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. It really is.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, my first pick is, I guess you might say, our trademark hard left. Uh, my first pick is the big thing this year is to make movies about the Thai cave uh, disaster. There's one on Netflix coming up. There's this one, and we're talking about 13 Lives by director Ron Howard. I think this is a pretty underrated film for this year. I mean, it's hard because the documentary was so good, and I do think that the documentary is superior. And part of it is that I feel like the documentary captures sort of the nerdy quality of these rescuers more than it's hard when you have these movie stars like Viggo Mortensen and Colin Farrell and everything like that to sort of capture that nerdy quality. But aside from that, this is a very well-made film. It's very captivating. They do a really good job recreating the rescue and recreating the whole situation. Um, and I think it's a very solid kind of movie you would want to watch with your like parents and they would at least with my parents, they would get into it. They would get excited. Um, and yeah, it's an inspirational story. There's a reason why everyone's doing it. Everyone's talking about it because I think we all need those inspirational stories. And so it's good. And I think it deserved a little bit more love in the theaters and also just in general.
Don't we have a cave movie coming up this month?
Yep, that's what I'm saying. Everybody's talking about the cave disaster. This, the
It's like
documentary last year, and then two movies, one in Amazon Prime, one on Netflix.
it's weird. In like 1997, we got two volcano movies and two meteor movies.
Mm-hmm.
And this year we're getting all the cave movies. It's like disaster movies. They don't have a solid like string of consistent output. They just choose a year and be like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
this year we're just going to do tsunami movies. Make it happen.
Yeah, it is true. It's so funny how that happens. You know, have like two movies where the White House is attacked. We have two movies about bugs. You know, it just very weird how that happens. But I think this is a good film. It's well done. So you should watch the documentary and then watch this. We'll see how the Netflix one is, how it compares. It doesn't have the star power that this one does, as far as Vigo. This one has Viggo Mortensen, Colin Farrell, Joel Edgerton. So, what's your next pick?
So my next choice is a movie from 2012 and is called Jack Reacher. This is based on the book written by, or it's actually the book called One Shot, written by Lee Child. Lee Child created the Jack Reacher character. Starred Tom Cruise. It was directed by Christopher McQuarrie before the two would reinvent the Mission Impossible series. And it tells the story of Jack Reacher, who is a investigator, and he is looking into a homicide case involving a military veteran who causes it's described on IMDb as a mass shooting, so I'll just call it exactly that. And there's been a bit of life when it comes to Reacher. Earlier this year, Amazon just did the Reacher TV show, which I have not finished, but what I have seen I thought was very well done. And while I think this series is a bit better than the two Jack Reacher movies we got starring Cruise, I think this one is still pretty solid. It's directed by Christopher McQuarrie, like I said, and that dude, like he's really good at what he does. Let's just say that. The action is very well done. Cruise is really good. The villain is played by Werner Herzog. May he rest in peace. And that was something that I did not see coming. I'm like, wow, Werner Herzog, they got him for this. That's interesting. But Tom Cruise is in it, Herzog is in it, Richard Jenkins is in it, who I always like. Like when you need someone like a character actor who's like pretty stern, like you call Richard Jenkins. Like he's like that's like his lot as an actor. Like stern but likable side character, if that makes any sense at all.
Hmm.
Like I said, the Reacher series on Amazon is better, but this is still a good time. There's a parking lot fight where I was just like, all right, yeah, this is awesome. This is so good.
Yeah, I've never seen this. I haven't heard very good things about it, so it's interesting to hear that you liked it, that it's worth a watch. I, yeah, just one of those ones that I had missed, but I had heard good things about the series, like you said.
Yeah, the Reacher series, I have not finished it, but what I have seen, I thought it was phenomenal. Like they got
Hmm.
the right person to play Reacher. He looks like the kind of guy who will just completely destroy you in a fist fight, but is also smart enough to where he doesn't exactly need to do that. He can outsmart you and also outfight you. It's a delicate balance, and they got the right person to do that. I
Hmm.
hope that gets a season two because they do deserve it.
Hmm. Cool. So my next pick is a documentary. We talked about the 13 Lives documentary, but this is a very different documentary. It's called Lula Rich. And this is a documentary series that's all about the LuLaRoe company, which was a multi-level marketing company. And multi-level marketing is super popular here in Utah. I think partly because you have all these stay-at-home moms who want to bring in an income and they get kind of convinced into it by these people to be part of the multi-level marketing, whether it's Nu Skin or Mary Kay or LuLaRoe or so many different ones. And this was such a big one, LuLaRoe. It's such a random one, selling leggings. It's very weird that that would blow up, but it did, and this just does a great job with like interviewing with all these different women who had sold LuLaRoe and their experiences, and then interviewing uh, the founders of LuLaRoe, going over their story, and it is can be quite damning at times of the way that they used and manipulated people and uh, convinced people to invest in them, invest in product, and then would leave them hanging. Um, in some cases, they really ruined people's lives, and so if you like documentaries like that, kind of profiling a uh, a company, people going into the behind the scenes of something like that, then this is a very good one and very entertaining. So it's a good one. Lula Rich.
Yeah, there's a lot of Herbalife like people in where I am in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely stuff like that. And I've seen videos that are like that are definitely like yeah, these companies are really not to be trusted. And I mean, I get it, but at the same time, from what I've seen, it's like people are making livings off of it. So I mean, I suppose it's not the worst thing ever, but at the same time, there was this one I saw from this creator named James Janney or Johnny. He's British, so
Mm-hmm.
and he did one, and I'm like, oh wow, this is actually quite damning in its own.
Yeah, because the thing is people for the most part aren't making a living off of selling the product. People are making a living off of getting other people to sell the product. That's the whole model for multi-level marketing is and so that's where it becomes kind of toxic is you have people that are convincing people to invest because and not because the product is great and can help them but because they can get more people, they can then get more people, and it becomes this, sort of cycle.
Yeah, I believe it's called the vicious cycle.
Yeah. So this is it's very well done, and not boring. Like it's entertaining, this one. So I recommend it. What is your next pick?
So my next choice, and I don't know if I should describe this as a series or like a series of shorts, but I'm going to recommend the OG Wallace and Gromit shorts. Now, I've recommended The Curse of the Were-Rabbit on here a long time ago, and that movie just has my heart. But these like series of shorts just they're just wonderful. That's the best way that I can describe it. They made me fall in love with claymation, stop motion, call it whatever you like. The animation in these shorts are so good. You just forget that it's animation. Your mind just completely just becomes desensitized to it. I don't know if that's the correct term, but you just completely invest yourself in it. And
Mhm.
is created by Nick Park, and I forget the name of his other collaborator. Nick Park and
Steve Box.
yeah, him. And it's just wonderful. On Amazon, it's the four main episodes are A Grand Day Out, The Wrong Trousers, A Close Shave, and A Matter of Loaf and Death. For me
Hmm.
personally, my favorite is The Wrong Trousers. That short had no business being as tense as it was. It made me scared of a claymation penguin who wears a glove on his head. And yet I'm sitting there like more intense than some of the action movies that I've seen this year. Like the scene where Grommet is like throwing down those train tracks really quick and he's on the
Oh
model
yeah.
train and the penguin's chasing him. I'm like, Grommet, go, 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 go. It's nail biting stuff. And it's just I could talk about it for days and days and days, but those shorts really did make me fall in love with Aardman and just made me become an Aardman fan till the day I die. They deserve
Mhm.
the world.
Yeah, they are so charming and funny and sweet, and there is good action. I mean, it's just unbelievable to think that they do that. Every action, microsecond by microsecond. I mean, stop motion just blows me away.
Yeah, it does. And I was actually just looking it up on Wikipedia. These shorts were released like years like afterwards. Like one was released, then 3 years would go by, then another one. I don't know if maybe that's because it was a long time to actually create the dolls and then
Hmm.
actually do it. But first one was done in 89. And then 4 years later, it was in 93 when it dropped. And then 2 years, and it just so much time passed. And people are clearly still talking about it,
Hmm.
so it's made a big impact.
I especially love Gromit and his expressions, his frustration with Wallace. I think they do such a good job with that
Like the face
character.
palm that he does,
Yeah.
it's like default mode for him.
I think Loaf and Death is probably my favorite, but they are all excellent. I agree. And I did get the opportunity to interview Nick Park over at Rotoscopers, so you definitely also check that out. That was really surreal and fun.
What was he like?
Oh, he was great. Yeah, really fun and personable and fascinating to talk to. So I'll put a link down. I'll try to remember to put a link down in the description to that. But that was a very cool experience that I got to have. Uh, and it was just a written review, so there's not an audio component, but anyway, it was really neat. And I do think that I mean I love Were Rabbit. I think Were Rabbit is great, but I do think that the shorts are even better.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah. All right. Well, my next pick is going back to Jane Austen era. And we're talking about Love and Friendship. And this is by director Whit Stillman. And he is so good at writing dialogue. And he manages to make kind of unlikable characters, not necessarily likable, but funny enough that you're kind of enjoying the experience, if that makes sense. He has a another movie called Metropolitan that we talked about for the I've done for Blind Spot and then also for the Criterion Project we talked about, and that's a really fun movie that plays homage to to Mansfield Park, and they talk about Mansfield Park a lot. And so, Whit Stillman is, long had a love of Jane Austen and has worked it into his movies. And this was his, uh, I guess, attempt at making a Jane Austen film, doing a period piece, and I really enjoyed it. Kate Beckinsale plays Lady Susan, and it's really based on Lady Susan, not on Love and Friendship. I don't know why they called it Love and Friendship. It's kind of strange, but it's based on the novel Lady Susan. And Lady Susan is very different character than a typical Austen character. She is manipulative, she is rude, she she doesn't really respect anybody in her life, including her daughter. She kind of looks at them with disdain. But she is definitely the smartest person in the room at all times. And Kate Beckinsale plays her so well, and she's so funny in her sort of dripping cynicism that it works, I think, quite well, especially her scenes with Chloe Sevigny, very funny, the two of them. And then Tom Bennett is also very funny as kind of a love interest. He's a foppish buffoon, and she knows it, but they have a good time with it. And it's beautifully made. All the costumes, everything like that is all great. But if you're looking for something that satisfies your romantic and also kind of period piece Jane Austen kind of itch that's got a little more edge, then this is the movie for you. I really enjoyed it. It's something fresh, something different, but very entertaining. So, and a lot of it, like I said, comes down to Kate Beckinsale's performance and to Whit Stillman's direction and writing. He just is really good at creating that banter. So it's definitely worth watching.
I can't imagine being that cynical to everyone. That would get
Yeah.
tiresome after a while.
No, it's true. I mean, she would be a terrible person to know and interact with in real life, but in a movie, it works. I think it works. Yeah. So, what is your next pick?
So my next choice, and here's my hard left for the episode. We're going all the way back to the 1920s. I'm going to be recommending The General. This is a movie starring Buster Keaton, and I remember covering this as part of the AFI project, and I was like, oh, 1920s, Buster Keaton, this is probably going to be boring. But no, it was actually really, really good. Uh, this being a silent movie and this being Buster Keaton, it's pretty much a silent action movie. And it's all so very well done, especially when you know that the limitations of their time, just how they had to just make everything work. It gives you greater appreciation of how they were able to do it. The movie is actually, I think it's a bit more modern than people might think, because Chad Stahelski used, or if you notice in the John Wick sequels, there's a clip from Buster Keaton and Harold Lloyd movies near the beginning of the movies, at least in parts, to where it's
Hmm.
like a subtle little homage. It's short, it's short, but it is there. I also recommend the movie if maybe if people are not so into like silent stuff. The movie's just over an hour. It's an hour and 7 minutes long. And nearly every second of it, there's something going on. It's like maybe a couple minutes of setup and then Buster's going and he's dodging houses and trying to keep the train going. It's literally like every moment something is popping off. And so I would give this a hearty recommendation. If someone were to ask me about silent movies, I would be like this one or potentially The Kid. Those would be my two recommendations.
Yeah, I feel like people fall into one of two camps. They're either more of a Chaplin fan or more of a Keaton fan. Which camp would you say you're more in?
Well, Chaplin movies have better stories, so I would lean more towards that. And
Mm,
Chaplin movies definitely did have stunts. If you see The Gold Rush, for example, that definitely has its fair share, especially the ice skating scene. but overall, like every time I see the kid, it just gets me every time. Like the mom's hunt for her son, Chaplin trying to provide for this son that he has inherited that he has no business taking care of. It's like dual loyalties that
Hmm.
that come to a head. It's all very well done.
Yeah, I think you make a good point about them having better stories. I think that the whole tramp character is very endearing for Chaplin. I think that Buster Keaton is more, his movies are more funny, are funnier. And the set pieces are just unbelievable. Isn't the general the one where the house falls down around him?
That's
Yeah.
literally like the second scene in the movie where he
Yeah.
walks out and the side of the house is like, "Damn," and he like falls like through the window or the window
Yeah.
falls in front of him.
It's
It,
so
it
good.
like Keaton just like he's one of the best stuntmen ever.
Mhm. Yeah, I think so. So yeah, I guess it would depend on what mood I'm in. I always think of myself as more of a Keaton person, but I think they obviously both have their merits, that's for sure. Well, very good. Well, my next pick is a movie that I thought I'd recommended, but I didn't have it on the list, so check that again if I have. It's called Sylvie's Love. And this is a movie that I saw at Sundance, I think 2019, I saw it at Sundance, I believe. And it's an homage, I guess, to movies from the 60s, your Doris Day, or those kinds of movies, but with a all black cast. And it's a basically this story of this woman who falls in love with this jazz player, this saxophonist, uh, and her parents don't support the match, and they have all different kinds of obstacles that stand in the way of their love, and it goes over like several decades. And I think it's very well cast, great chemistry. Tessa Thompson is so good as Sylvie, and it was just really cool at Sundance. The director Eugene Ash, he in the Q&A he said that he'd always wanted to see a Doris Day movie with a black cast, and so he just decided, well, I'm going to make one. I'm going to do it. And I thought that was really inspirational and really cool that he saw a need and he did it. He found a way to make his movie, and I think it's a really beautiful movie, very well done, great music, and great chemistry between the leads. So definitely, I think worth a watch.
Yeah, Tessa Thompson is I think I don't want to say she's slept on because I mean she's in the MCU, so it's
Hmm.
clearly like she's definitely getting noticed and definitely getting work. But most of the stuff that I have seen her in, like in terms of her performances, have been pretty solid.
Yeah, yeah, she's a good actor, and she just has a warmth about her that I think is very compelling. So, what is your next pick?
So my final pick is a movie from 1992, and it is called Mr. Baseball. It tells the story of a baseball player who is put on the trading block. He's getting older, and the American leagues are pretty much saying like we just don't have enough roles for you. So he gets sent to Japan to try and help a Japanese baseball team. And basically, the cultural differences between Japanese baseball and American baseball go like that till eventually he gets it and the team turns around and they do really good. This movie stars Tom Selleck, and he's primarily known for doing Magnum PI and Blue Bloods and all of that. He's pretty good here. His friend is played by Dennis Haysbert, who was the president, the first president on 24.
President
That's
Palmer.
that yeah, that's where I've always known it from. 24 predicted the first black president by about 7 years. Yeah, 7 years. And This movie's not like the greatest of all time, but I've just had a soft spot for it. I mean, baseball movies in general, I just have a soft spot for. And I mean, I guess the conversation could be had like the white guy going to Japan to turn the Japanese team around. I don't know if maybe there's a conversation to be had about that. But at the same time, it's like he eventually like starts out hard-headed, but then eventually adopts the style and he learns and he gets smarter about it. And I don't know. I give it a modest recommendation. I've always had fun with it.
Um, so yes, I've never seen this one, Mr. Baseball. Um, I I've heard of it, I feel like, but I've never seen it. So that's interesting. And it's perfect. Isn't this getting into like World Series and things like that time
It's
for baseball?
just about October, so yes.
Yeah. So that'd be a perfect time to watch a movie like this.
Yeah.
Tom Selleck. Cool. Um, yes. So my last recommendation is a cute little movie, The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. And this has an incredible cast. It's got Bill Nighy, Maggie Smith, Tom Wilkinson, Judi Dench, Dev Patel, Penelope Wilton. It's this great cast of is about these women who go down to India and they're planning on staying. They think it's this like luxury hotel. Turns out to be not as luxurious as they planned, and but they end up having an adventure, and it's just a cute little movie.
Yeah, this cast is pretty impressive. Maggie Smith, Bill Nye. I'm sure I'm missing some, but like Dev Patel's in there. Like this cast is loaded from what I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, and they all have great chemistry, and it seems like they're having a lot of fun. It's not like a great movie, but it's just like a fun a little romp if you're in the mood for something kind of like a Hallmark movie, but with older people. Then this would be a good one to watch. So there we go. We did it. We covered Amazon Prime. Let us know what you think of these movies that we talked about, and if you've seen any of them, and what you think, and also if you've gotten to watch The Rings of Power, what you think of that. I started the first episode, but I've just barely gotten into it. I'm not that big of a fantasy person, so I'm the wrong person to ask in general on that show. But I'll let you know when I do finish finish it. But Ryan, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at RyanCam20. There's of course my YouTube channel, which is just called Ryan Cam. I'm literally 15 away from 300 subscribers. So if you
Mm.
haven't checked me out, please do. It got Life in the Movies coming up on Wednesday. So by the time this drops, it will have dropped. Jacob and I are going to be talking about Jessica Jones season 1, episodes 8 and 9, just to play a little catch up there, and among other things. And then this coming Sunday, I will be dropping a big old review for one of my all-time favorite movies, Good Will Hunting. I'm basically doing like a kind of like a stuff like a bucket list of stuff I want to cover because all of October is going to be Scary Mania, 31 horror movie reviews in 31 days. So my channel's going to be pretty busy there. So I want to get some stuff I definitely want to cover out of the way before I throw myself headfirst into that. So if you all have not checked me out, please do.
Very good. Yes, you also definitely check it out. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes to check that out. Also, make sure you're checking out the Hallmarkies podcast. We've got a great week this week over there. So definitely take a look at that. And if you're listening to this episode on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate it. And if you're watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group and merch store. Check out that. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.